Hey everybody, welcome to Quarantine Parenting. Thanks for being with me today. So, if you're here for the first time, my name is Dr. Courtney Pegram. I create these daily videos with ideas, concepts, or sometimes the crap that I'm going through. I'm an education and consultant, and I wanted to figure out how I could best serve my community, and I figured it was probably by the stuff that I've done almost my career, and some of the knowledge I've been learning and the stuff that I'm still applying. So this is it. Today I wanted to talk about the importance of, really letting your emotions out and processing some of the stuff that we're going through. The why behind it is we're about to transition into either phase one of phase one at reintegration. And then in that phase, things are going to change for us. And I know that often we resist change and it's hard for us to adjust. And even though we don't like being shelter in place or we're struggling, this is difficult. I've had some friends that haven't left their house in 40 days. So obviously they want that. But with that change might come some anxiety. And it's important to address that. So I came to that conclusion because I've been mentioning in my videos prior that I've been having a rough time. This week was difficult. My video that I created yesterday was a love letter to small businesses of like, hey, I'm with you. This is terrifying. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's been like kind of a sinking feeling for me. And I couldn't figure out why? What's going on? Why do I have more anxiety as we're moving into phase one of reintegration than I've ever had through this shelter in place? Not that I've been rocking quarantine, but there's been some upsides for me that I was laughing with my girlfriend today when I was on a walk because I'm moving my body. I took a walk today because I was going to kill my family. So I left and I actually took an hour and 45-minute walk. Hit some mileage just because I really need to get some stuff out, right? I went from being, was it Maleficent? Maleficent, I had to leave my house to when I came back and I was like a bright new fairy. But anyway, so just as I say, I was trying to figure out what was going on with me, and it made sense. I'm going to explain it to you, and this might be insightful because we are going to transition, and when transitioning into different phases, even if it's just a slight change, can create resistance, anxiety. So sometimes just knowing what's about to happen can really help us find some calm and some coping strategies. So for me, what's been happening is as we were moving into quarantine, I got into somewhat of, even though it was not the best routine, some of a routine, some structure, and I was okay. I knew school was going to be canceled. Even though it wasn't, they're not going back to school, I knew these things were coming, and it was slow moving, so it wasn't that abrupt. Now the challenge I'm having and where my anxiety comes from is once we lift the shelter in place, it's how do I readjust to this new normal? Because my life is going to change as I'm not going to go back to my programs, my schools. There's no more school, right? It's for the year, for the school year. And so when is my next training? When is my next assembly? So I think my anxiety is coming of the level of uncertainty once the shelter in place is lifted. Now, how that can apply to you is you might not know when you're going to start working in the office again. You might not know your new policies or procedures at work. You might not know how are you going to manage this, because now if your children go back to school and you have to go to work, how's that going to happen? So again, that uncertainty can create some anxiety, because regardless if this is not an ideal situation, it's very difficult for us. It's to be shelter in place, to be quarantined. We kind of got into the jam and getting used to it. And now I think with the shift, the transition, a set of changes are going to occur and we're going to get uncomfortable. And we get uncomfortable, and sometimes when we don't understand changes or we resist them, right, it causes anxiety and fear. So here's how I kind of play this off, and I hope this strategy helps you. I always try to see myself in those two different situations. Yes, okay, so this is obviously uncertain. I don't know what I'm going to do. And for me as a working parent I'm so grateful I still have my office, and I will be going back to my office once I'm allowed to. But then how am I going to figure out homeschool with my husband working? And then like things like, do I get a babysitter? And like, oh, all these things are starting to play. Like, is camp going on this summer? Like, how's my kid going to be separated from me? She's with me all the time. So those are the things that kind of went through my head. So that's the uncertainty. So first of all, here, so I want you to explore. List out the things that are about to change for you, right? Even if it's something that, you know, sounds a little crazy, or this is personal for you. No one's going to see this. List all the things that are going to change, right? Going back to work, school, schedule, you know, maybe your business, your job. People were laid off within your team, right? You're changing teams, you're starting, okay, just list it out. And then after you list everything out, kind of play out the scenarios enough so that you can visualize like what it's like. So schedule's going to change. Well, I really work well with a plan, so I kind of mapped out what my new plan would be if this happened, right? So kind of start playing ideas and scenarios. So what you're doing is you're visualizing all this change, and it's less scary once we can see it on paper. Now go back to your current situation and start looking at what is a constant and what will remain the same, right? So it's like even with this lift, we're not going to all be like running outside, you know, jumping in parks and like all hanging out. It's going to be a process. So see what's going to stay the same and what is changing. And by doing this activity, it helps see the bigger picture and reduce anxiety, right? So for me, I had to do that because, you know, I have super high expectations of myself, and none of anyone else, just me. I'm just really good at that. And I find that through this quarantine, I've said in multiple videos, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't feel like I'm enough. And for me to get out of that mode, because regardless of what degree, what training you do, these feelings often still creep up. And it's about addressing them and kind of playing them out and processing them to get over them. That's the way of dealing with it, because I have never met someone, even though spiritual leader, psychologist, we still have those feelings creeping up like, am I doing enough? Am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I a phony? Should I even be here? Right? Like, so all these things come up of self-doubt. So when that self-doubt comes up, which is normal in times of transition and uncertainty, we need to address it. So for me with the transition is like, did I do enough during quarantine? Was this like enough? Like, should I be in a different place in my business? And if you've caught in a few of my videos, I talk about like, I don't know how people have time. Like, you know, like I'm not sitting and binge watching TV. I have done that, but I'm not doing it every day. I'm like, well, where does my time go? Sometimes it's like, well, now it's like, I think it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, it is. Where did my day go? I have no idea. Sometimes I'm like lost. So I was like, well, did I do enough during quarantine? Right? So you're hearing what I'm saying. So you have to catch yourself and be like, whoa, like let's just chill on this, right? Are you doing enough during a pandemic? Do you see how that sounds? Right? So that's that busyness that I need to be productive. I need to show numbers. We need to stop, because being productive and busy is not necessarily attaining your goals or your intentions or your dreams. So go back and figure out like what needs to get done. And then, you know, even make a list of the things that you have accomplished in quarantine, even if it's silly, like learning for me, like how to do it. Really good at this. Manicure, also how to remove nail polish would be the next one. For cooking for me, for you know, slowing down, bird watching. Never thought I'd be into that, but I'm pretty into bird watching right now. So those are things that I've accomplished. But so when that feeling of creeping in, like, what have you done these last 48 days? Like, I'm like, okay, so this is creeping, need to fix this, address this. This is how I do it. I go back and I make, for me it's lists. I go back and I make a list of the things that I've done or accomplished and give me a sense of control, safety, security, ability of like just feeling safe, right? So those are the things I make the list of. And then I stop with like, this is not going to help me because I am exactly where I'm supposed to be because I don't know where else I would be, right? So I want to leave you with those thoughts. So to recap my my model, so for us to address this change as we go into phase 1 of reintegration, And before we even explain it to our kids, we have to process this. So you make a list of all the things that are going to change slowly for you, and you kind of look at it, see how it makes you feel, and then play it out. What will it look like? What will this change do? And if you can create some sort of plan or a breakdown, it's really helpful, because when we see the bigger picture, it gives us clarity. Then go back to the other part, the second part, and we go, what is going to remain the same? So then clarity, sense of safety. It really helps with processing emotions. And then you can even explore like how this whole experience is making you feel. If it's too much, then stop, right? It's not meant to make you more stressed out. It's just the idea of exploring what will happen for clarity and going back to what is safe and secure in this moment. Been helpful. And when those bad emotions of you're not enough, self-doubt, not feeling that you're doing enough, not feeling that you're the best homeschool parent, the best remote worker, stop, right? There's no competition. And I've noticed too with my work and also myself, when fear and anxiety rise, it's like the judgment creepers come in. I like to call them the judgment creepers. They start creeping in. They're like the comparison. We start comparing ourselves to people. And sometimes, most times, we compare ourselves to people that on social media, and we see one sliver of their life, and we're like, oh my God, how like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not enough, like all this stuff where like I should be doing more, or I should be working on this, like, right? We see one sliver and we compare. And there's not two people identical in this world, so we've got to stop with the comparison. So when the judgment creepers start coming in, you need to stop and be like, okay, why am I comparing myself to someone I do not know, who is not even close to my life, right? And then try to figure out what you're doing and how it feels. So where mine comes, I'll give you an example, is often when I'm moving my content online is really difficult for me. And I think it's just like, I'm not breaking it down into smaller projects. And I've got other stuff going on for sure. But when I see other teachers or like professional, like I'd say trainers, with their stuff already online, uploaded, ready to purchase, I'm like, how did they even do that? Like, I'm not even, right? And then I need to stop, because I don't know if this person, that person, they're not in my situation, right? Why am I doing this? Because of fear and uncertainty. So when we start comparing and the judgment creepers come on in, you need to just like take a mental break and tell yourself, stop, this is enough. Even say it out loud. I'm laughing because I'm showing you all my signs of crazies. Sometimes I catch myself in my head. I'm having a full-blown play out of how I'm judging myself, criticizing myself, comparing myself to others. And I literally say out loud, stop, just stop it. You're down a rabbit hole and like you need to stop. So I say stop and I move into a different room, or I just walk away from the situation because there's no good coming from it. So in closing, judgment creepers only come when we're in fear and uncertainty. When we feel that, like, let's go back to finding our safe place and finding clarity, right? Always remember to breathe through this process and sit with the emotions if they're uncomfortable. That's okay. And I want you to, once you sit with them and you've like accepted them, then look for other options, theories, strategies, or tools to bring you safety, joy, and then enlightenment, or you can say clarity. So anyway, so that's it for me today. I hope this was helpful. Gave you a little insight of my crazies, so enjoy that. So if you like this video, please click the like button below and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see all you tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Okay, bye.